Greetings and salutations, fans and family, friends and neighbors, lovers and losers of all kinds. This is just an observation, and I am your host, Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom. So sit back, enjoy, and let's have some fun, shall we? Today, I want to go into a little bit of, well, let's say history. I get asked a lot of times, who is Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom, and where did you come up with that name? So today, I'm going to explain that and go over an entire history of, well, Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom. The first inkling of what would become Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom started in my sophomore year of high school in 1984 in a computer class. I had won a TI-99 for a personal computer as a prize for delivering newspapers. So I wrote a game, and I called it Star Fury. And the name came from Star Trek and Space Fury. But then I started writing a book about Star Fury. And the lead character was an admiral. And I'd only known the ranks at that point from Star Trek. I didn't have any clue about Navy or anything like that. And I just basically took the name for the title of the character was Admiral. And then I discovered, actually, BBSing. Online BBSing. Now, at that point, I had a Commodore 64. This was 1985. And when you signed on to BBSs, the first thing they asked for was your name and a handle. And my first handle on that very first BBS was the Admiral, because, well, it sounded cool. After my third BBS, I changed my handle to Admiral Doom, because that sounded even cooler. And from there, I decided that it would be Admiral O.F. Doom, because Admiral of Doom sounded even cooler than Admiral Doom. In 1986, somebody asked me what the O.F. stood for, and that's when I became Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom. I continued my online roaming through the years 1987 to 1989. In 1987 and 1988, I actually owned a BBS called the 5-Star Country Club, which I ran with a friend of mine from high school and a user. And it was a simple little bulletin board system using a Commodore 64 and a 1200 baud modem. But the 5-Star was fairly popular. And I stayed with that until my life imploded, and I won't go into details there. But suffice it to say, I still remained online, and I met a lot of people, and I still continued to be Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom. In 1989, I actually joined the United States Navy, and by June of that year, I had gone through A school and became a data processing technician, or a DP. At that point, I was given orders to the USS Theodore Roosevelt, where I was proud to serve. While I was on board USS Theodore Roosevelt, I got a call from the communications department. Apparently, the comm department had talked to my division officer and asked them if anybody had any experience working with modems and online services, because they wanted to be able to connect to online services, like FedWorld especially, from the ship using satellite phone. So I got to connect to a Washington, D.C. BBS called FedWorld from the ship at sea via satellite. I will never forget that experience. In 1992, I was transferred to Cleveland, Ohio. And in Cleveland, I started investigating local BBSs. And by that time, the BBSs weren't one-line Commodore 64 varieties. They were multi-line IBM PC varieties, mainly using Galacticom. And that was a great BBS software. I had found a BBS in the Cleveland area called the Modem Nation and found a home with people that had become my friends. And that's continued with the Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom handle. But it was more of a community at that point. One of the add-ons to the Galacticon BBS was something called WorldLink. And WorldLink was a chat that you could connect multiple BBSs, as long as they were running the same software, and talk to one another across BBS lines, across many BBSs. The owner of the Modem Nation in Cleveland had asked me if I wanted to be part of WorldLink, and that he would set me up to run a new Modem Nation in Indianapolis when I left the Navy. So we did, and WorldLink connected, and we were on. Now, my partner at the time, he went by the handle Gandalf the Grey. So we had this BBS, the Modem Nation Indianapolis, connected to the Modem Nation in Cleveland, and we could chat back and forth. So I could still chat to my friends in Cleveland, but I grabbed a whole new bunch of friends in Indianapolis. Well, the Modem Nation decided to pull out of our situation in Indianapolis, and it fell to Gandalf the Grey, who renamed the BBS the Wizard's Realm, but we still kept WorldLink so we could connect to other BBSs. And that lasted until, I believe, 1996. At that point, BBSs were on their way down, understandably, and the new thing called the Internet was rampant at that time, or just starting to be. Two of the things that I was known for online, especially at the Modem Nation and the Modem Nation Indianapolis, the Wizard's Realm, were my catch lines. One was never straying far from. Every time I left the board, every time I left chats, it was always never straying far from and whatever came to mind. And the other were the Doom's rules, the Admiral Doom's undeniable rules of life. They started out as, this sounds funny, I'll make it an undeniable rule of life, and that's what I would post. And they all just came, one after another after another. And I've just kept them going and revamped them and rearranged and everything, but I still have my undeniable rules of life. When I turned away from the BBSs and started going online, full-blown internet online, I had already been Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom for a decade, and I did not see any need to change it. So from that point on, I still maintained the name Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom, and I use it in my Twitter, I use it on now my YouTube channel, and in the YouTube chats. I am still using that name, and probably will for the rest of my life. Everything I do, whether it be online or my assorted things that I do offline, all fall under the title of DOOMful Productions. That is the name of the company that I run. That is the name of the company that I live for. DOOMful Productions, the name of the company came from way back in 1992 when I was serving with somebody, and everything he did was under a different company name that he created. So I decided I needed a company name. Now, DOOMful Productions is Admiral Doom. But the name also comes from the fact that, going back to what I did in the Navy, I was a data processing technician, or DP. So it's going to be always remembering my time in the United States Navy. And that was a brief history of Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom, where I came up with the name, the many permutations that have gone through, and when I'm online in YouTube chats and people are asking, well, who's this person and where did you get that name? This is where I got it. And this is why I still use it, because, well, I can't think of anything that's probably any better. I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for watching Just an Observation. And have fun, be safe, and remember, always treat life as if awesome is a downgrade.